Welcome back to the channel, people. It's your guy, LFC Plavi. I'm here with my brother, Kobistana, and it's been a while. It's been a while. So we are back with a
We
bang.
are back.
And now that we are back, we are going to be giving to you back to
Back
back,
to back.
right? And what we are going to do is that we'll be giving you previews and reviews for the next couple of weeks until we get to the Champions League final and after the Champions League final. Also, during the summer to look forward to more content, more videos, more analysis that are centered on Liverpool and also looking into other teams as well. So we'll start today's podcast by looking at the Champions League. We are previewing the Champions League game between Bayern Munich and Madrid. And then we'll also look at Arsenal versus Sporting Lisbon. We will be doing another video to look at the Liverpool game as well as the Barca versus Atletico game. So, Stana, before we
Yeah,
begin, how are you doing? How is it going? How is life?
yeah. Everything is fine. Life is not as joyful as I would have wanted it to, because of course my team is not really performing well. But uh, there's not much to complain about. So we go again. It's a new week.
Yeah, yeah, it's a new week. So hopefully things change for the better. Let's look into the Champions League games that are coming up on Tuesday. We have Bayern Munich versus Madrid. So that is a big game of the day on Tuesday. So
Yeah,
let's start by looking at the prospect of these two teams. When we look at Bayern, they won this weekend 3-2. It was a tie game. They almost drew the game. Madrid, on the other hand, were unfortunate or were unlucky not to get a draw because the only thing they deserved in that game was a draw. They didn't deserve to win the game, Madrid. So going into this game and looking at the recent form of the two teams, how do you think the game is going to play out? How do you think Madrid are going to approach the game? And also how Bayern are going to start the game and try to impose their game on Madrid.
thank you once again. This is a very difficult game. Very difficult game to analyze as well, because especially when Real Madrid are playing, because Real Madrid is a side that you can't really predict based on what we've seen them play in the league, especially, and then base it off that to analyze their game when they turn up in the Champions League, especially when it's in the knockout phase, the quarter final, the semi-finals. You might always make a mistake if you use their league form to judge their performance when it comes to the Champions League, because some way, somehow, they always seem to turn up when it comes to the Champions League. So it makes it a bit difficult in analyzing how and where the game is going to pan out. Because if you look at the game against Mallorca, you look at some of the individual performances of some of the players, and then you'd probably go on to say they might get outmuscled by this Bayern Munich side. But on the day they might turn up, and then it will be a whole new different story. But one interesting thing that most people are talking about is if Real Madrid are better without Kylian Mbappe. I, for one, am not really in that camp as yet. But it does seem as though in recent times Madrid have played quite well without Kylian Mbappe being in the side. And in the game against Mallorca, they were so predictable with Kylian Mbappe up top. But I wouldn't really blame Kylian Mbappe alone for that, because I see Kylian Mbappe really thrives off, especially when he's on the left. He really thrives off when there is someone in the number 9 position. So in the game against Mallorca, they were kind of playing a strikerless system. There was no number 9. So it was very predictable for Mallorca to defend against the threat of Kylian Mbappe, because of course they know Kylian Mbappe is the only threat, or the most viable threat for Real Madrid. But the game against Bayern Munich is a side that really likes to go man for man. And if you are a side coming up against Bayern Munich, then it means that when they go man for man like that, well, one way you can use to beat a side that really goes man for man is your movement, especially movement of the ball. And these Real Madrid players are some of the best when it comes to their movement and how sharp they are in terms of direct transitions and stuff. So this could be a game where they could exploit some of the weaknesses that this Bayern Munich side poses according to how they play. But again, Bayern Munich is also very potent when it comes to the attacking third. I mean, if you look at the stats, the goals in 2026, their left winger, who is Luis Diaz, has 17 goal contributions. Michael Olise has 17 goal contributions. Harry Kane has 20 goals contributions in just 2026 alone. And for Real Madrid, it seems at the turn of the year, Kylian Mbappe's goals has dried up just a little bit. So the firepower from Bayern Munich is something that you can't underestimate. And then if you tie that with the defensive frailties of this Real Madrid side, the game against Mallorca, how open they were, and Mallorca could have even beaten them by more than 2 goals. So looking just at that, it means that it will be very difficult for Real Madrid. The most difficult part is they played at home first, and then they go to Bayern Munich in the second leg. So it means at all costs, Real Madrid need to make sure they win this game. They might probably need to win this game by more than a goal to have a chance in qualifying to the semi-finals of the Champions League. But the midfield battle is where I will mostly be looking at, because of course Bayern Munich will be looking to gain control of the game with Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka with that energy and stamina in midfield against Chouamini, Valverde with legs. But someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold, when I look at the duels in wide areas, Luis Diaz will be facing Trent Alexander-Arnold, former teammates at Liverpool. He'll be giving him a run for his money. And in the game against Manchester City, it was quite clear that the Real Madrid players knew Trent needed help. And so often at times you would see Thiago Pita shift to the left side or the right side to help Trent Alexander-Arnold. At times it was Federico Valverde. We saw him going out to the right-hand side. But in this particular game, if they tend to do this a lot more times, it would also mean they'll be losing bodies elsewhere on the pitch. And as we all know, Harry Kane is someone who really likes to drop deep. And if he's dropping deep and some of your midfielders are not in the middle of the park to give that sort of protection, then you may be found wanting. So there are some key moments in the game, Trent at right back, and then the transition, which Real Madrid we know will be trying to get Bayern Munich. But again, I think this will probably be my last point, and it's about Arbeloa. Arbeloa seems to be able to find ways and means to get a result. I mean, he did it against Jose Mourinho. He did it against Pep. So he seems as though in the big games he's able to get a game plan that actually works for him. So if I'm going according to what I've seen against Benfica and against Real Madrid, it means Real Madrid will be coming out with a game plan that everyone should be on board. And if they would stand a chance, it means that both Vinicius and then Kylian Mbappe, they can't be carried this time around. They need to do the hard work, the hard yard themselves. With Kylian Mbappe stating during the international break that defending or playing as a centre back is the easiest job to do. I mean, then it really tells you that he just sometimes is lazy about it. He just thinks, I mean, this is pretty easy. You can go and do it yourselves. I don't need to defend. And I don't think that is the right mentality. He needs to be a leader for this Real Madrid side. So I think those are some of the key details going into the game.
Yeah. So when I really analyze what you are saying, it looks like Bayern is going to come into the game, control the game, try to take the game to Madrid, and Madrid are going to try and play on the counter and exploit spaces. So basically, it's just going to be a game where Madrid are going to look to exploit the spaces in behind, in the channels, in behind the fullbacks, in between the fullbacks and the center backs to try and get the game won. So, given that, do you think Madrid are favorites in this particular game, or you think it's going to be a difficult one for Madrid? Because in my view, if Madrid is able to knock out Bayern, they've won the Champions League. This is the most difficult task that they would have to get over in order to win the Champions League. If they knock out Bayern, PSG would be easy peasy. And anyone they meet in the final, they are going to beat the person, whether it's Barca or Arsenal, whoever comes into the final to meet them. And I'm speaking as if I've already ruled out Liverpool, because I think even if Liverpool knock out PSG, Madrid is going to knock them out. If Madrid
Yeah.
qualifies in the game against Bayern, I think they've won it. So who would you give the higher chance of qualifying, Bayern or Madrid?
I think right now I've learned my lesson, and that means I'll be going for Real Madrid because it's just so strange. It's something that you can't really put your hands on. It's something that you really can't put your hands on, but it is so difficult to go against Real Madrid when it comes to the Champions League because you never know when the odds are against them. And the same, I think, thing that you've said about Real Madrid, if they're able to get over the line against Bayern, they'll go on and win the Champions League. I have quoted the same thing word for word, that I think if Real Madrid are able to eliminate Bayern Munich from the Champions League, I think they will maybe go on and lift the trophy in what do we call it, in Hungary. So on paper, I mean, it's quite easy to say that Bayern Munich are the better side, they are the stronger side, they are better defensively, they are better attacking wise, they score more goals, they have a lot of quality even in midfield, and all round they are probably the better side. But I would go for Champions League pedigree and slightly edge it for Real Madrid to come out on top, especially in the first leg. I think things could turn out differently in the second leg, but in the first leg at the Bernabeu, under the lights, I would slightly edge it for Real Madrid because I think Arbeloa might have something for me because he seems to always have a plan when it comes to some of these big games. But I wanted to know your thoughts on the Mbappe issue. Do you think Madrid are actually better without Mbappe in the side?
Yeah, I also do have some reservations about Kylian Mbappe playing together with Vinicius. I don't think
Yeah,
the issue is necessarily with Mbappe
Mbappe, no.
himself, but the combination between Mbappe and Vini, that is where the problem is, because they both seem to prefer the same position.
Yeah,
So when it happens like that, sometimes there is a clash between the two of them in terms of where the spaces they prefer to move into, where they prefer to position themselves, tends
yeah,
to be very similar. So in that case, there's a wide gap, a wide hole in that number 9 position. So
yeah,
I think that is where the team is a bit unbalanced when it comes to when Vinny and both Vinny and Mbappe starts a particular game. I think that is where they struggle. But at this point, it's I don't envy Abeloa at all in the position that he finds himself in terms of trying to make a decision whether to play both of them or to keep one
yeah,
on the bench, because you can't win. Whatever you do, you are going to be a
yeah,
loser if it turns out that you don't win the game. So if the game goes against you,
yeah.
if you start both of them, you'll be blamed for starting both of them
Starting with
because they make the team unbalanced.
wrong time.
If you start one of them, the question would be, why did you start Mbappe over Vini? Or why did you start Vini over Mbappe?
Yeah.
So you can't win. The only thing you can do to win the argument or to win the day is to go out
So
there, beat your opponent, and get the 3 points.
I
So
think
I think,
one last thing I've kind of uh, brought my attention to is about Federico Valverde. We saw Federico Valverde score a lot of goals under Carlo Ancelotti in, I think, the first season that Jude Bellingham joined the club. But recently, when we've seen Federico Valverde turn up for Real Madrid, I think this year alone he has 17 goal contributions in just 2026, and it has coincided with Kylian Mbappe not being at the side. And so I think when Kylian Mbappe is in the side, I think the dynamism drops a little bit, and we don't really see those midfielders, the box crashers, coming in and getting those sort of numbers because it's not just about Federico Valverde. We've seen Jude Bellingham's numbers also drop as a result of Kylian Mbappe in the side. So I think that is also something that, because we've seen him trying to use Federico Valverde as his main man, but Vinicius kind of serves as a decoy. We saw that against Manchester City. So that dynamics, I think, will also be key for Arbeloa in terms of and the selection and the kind of approach he takes to the game.
yeah. So that is the game against between Bayern and Madrid. I think Madrid has the edge. I agree with you that Madrid has the edge. It is likely they'll win this particular game. But as to whether they go to Bayern and
Yeah.
still get a favorable result, that is where I think the difficulty is. Now let's go on and look at the game between Sporting and Arsenal. So Sporting are playing at home first, right?
Yeah.
And the second leg will be played at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I made a video right after the draw, and I said
Yeah.
that this path that Arsenal are on, of course, it is the easier path.
Yeah.
But when you look at the kind of teams that Arsenal are going to meet, they are likely to be the kind of teams that Arsenal struggle against. We've seen that this season against teams like Wolves, against teams that tend to defend very, very deep and play on the counter. Arsenal tend to struggle, especially when they don't get any joy from corners. So going into this game, I am sure Arsenal are going to face such a team where they are going to be very solid defensively and they are going to exploit the transitions. And I don't know if you've seen Arsenal's training today. Well,
Yeah. I
before we
have.
go into the game itself, the Arsenal training video that you've seen players controlling a single ball, about four
Yeah.
players
With the
using
head.
their heads together to control a ball and using some pen or something. What do you make of that? For me, I think it's too much of a gimmick because you can do it, but I don't really know why you should be allowing the media to film this. Right? You can do it in the closed section or in the closed sessions. I don't know why they decided to do it in the open session for this to come on the media because I think it smacks of panicking and sort of pressure getting to them. I don't know what you make of that.
Um, I mean, it's a bit tongue in cheek, but for me, I don't see any problem with it as long as they don't lose the game. That is my main thing. If Arsenal go to Portugal Tuesday evening and then let's say they are up by a goal to nil and then they end up losing the game, that is when I for one would go back in hindsight. I know it will be in hindsight by then, but that is where I will go back and say no. I wouldn't want to see my team doing that on the eve of a Champions League quarterfinal game. I wouldn't want to see that. But if they are able to, I mean, dismantle Sporting Lisbon at home, let's say they go out and they trash them by, let's say, even 2 goals to nil, 3 goals to nil. I mean, who cares? It's a bit. I mean, these days players do all sorts of things when it comes to their training sessions. They do all sorts of things. So I wouldn't really look much into that. But it's probably best if it wasn't really put on camera, I would say.
So do you have the feeling that Arsenal tend to be coming under a bit of pressure? Do you think the pressure is getting to them like the end of season stakes because the stakes are so high? Every single game is like a final. Do you think Arsenal are crumbling a little bit under that pressure? Because that is what seems to be happening. In my view, I think they are too tense. They are not enjoying the games. They are kind of playing the whole thing in their minds too much. And that kind of stiffens them up on the field. What do you think?
I think that is a very good point, and that is a key factor. I agree with you on that point. But for me, I think that is just half of the point. I think the other point that I have noticed is it's not just about Arsenal being jittery when it comes to the back end of the season. I think I'm looking at their quality in terms of their attacking prowess. I think at the back end of the season, teams are catching up. They are catching up in terms of nullifying their set pieces, nullifying their threats, in terms of how much chances they create and other stuffs. And the other point is also to do with Arteta, his tactics in game. Those are also things that I question for one. So for me, it's not just about Arsenal's mentality. I mean, that is also a key factor. But I think the other side of it is just about what I'm seeing on the pitch, which um, makes it. I think we make Arsenal get away with it a little bit when we take it all on the mentality side of things or the psychology side of things. Do Arsenal have enough quality in terms of their attack? Do Arsenal have game changers? I don't think they do. And so we constantly speak about Arsenal not being there when it comes to getting over the line. Are they, mentally strong enough? Do they have enough quality in the attacking third? We know defensively they can be solid on their day. Even on their off day, Arsenal are very good when it comes to shutting up shop. They always have their handbrake on. We know that. But do Arsenal have enough quality? Do Arsenal have actually the quality to match teams when teams try to come at them and go to them toe to toe? Do Arsenal have what it takes actually? That is the question I would ask many Arsenal fans. And if I was a reporter going into press conference, these are some of the questions that I will be asking at a tennis ball. Is Martinelli good enough? Is he a title winning left winger? I don't think so. Is Bukayo Saka good enough? Bukayo Saka is a bit tricky for me because I rate Bukayo Saka. I think he's a very decent Premier League player. But being a very decent Premier League player is entirely different from being a top player that bridges the gap from a top 4 team or a title contending team to winning a Premier League title team. Do they have those materials? I don't think they do. I think on a very good day, Arsenal could do the business. But on a day where, I mean, now you are Liverpool, we are all Liverpool fans. I'll take you back to our season, the 2 times where we won the season. Let me use the COVID season. We played some games. You remember the game we played against Aston Villa at away, where Sadio Mane got that header. I mean, sometimes those kind of moments, those kind of players that take matters into their own hands and take the game by the scruff of the neck. I don't really see these Arsenal players having that sort of I don't know how to put it, but that sort of edge in them, that sort of this is my time. I want to take this game and win it for my team. I don't really see those kind of personalities for one, and then quality and as another point.
Stana.
That is where I
So
stand when it comes to Arsenal.
what I'm going to say to that is that I take that your point that there might be a bit of question about the quality that Arsenal has, but we can all remember just a few months ago, before we entered 2026,
Yeah,
we had a whole lot of glazing and praising Arsenal for how good they are, how good they've been in the season. No matter the type of goals they score, we were still praising them that they are the best side in Europe. They
yeah,
were putting every team to bed in the Champions League. They were playing against teams in the Premier League, even though they were kind of struggling. It wasn't pretty at times, but they were winning
yeah,
it, and we're praising them for that. We were saying that this is the mark of a champion. There's also been a lot of chat about Arsenal's squad depth. We've praised
yeah,
them for the signings they've made. They
yeah.
brought in Jokeres. Last
True.
season, everybody said all Arsenal needed was a number 9,
That's
a
a strike.
finisher. Now they have the finisher. So why are we still here talking about quality? Upon all Arsenal have done, all they have spent in the transfer window, not just this past transfer window in the summer, but in previous transfer windows, Arsenal have been able to build their squad consistently over time. And now they've gotten to this point. So are we going to say that all that they've done hasn't been enough? Or is it just because we are getting to the end of the season, they are in the running, and this is where they need to show the quality the most? Because I think at the beginning of the season, it is very easy to play well. Everybody is fresh. You are coming back from preseason, right? So you are fresh. Now, this is where the running is. This is where the tired legs come in. Everybody is tired. Everybody is playing with a little bit of injury, niggles here and there. But this is
Yeah,
where you need to show the grit. And I don't think Arsenal are beginning to show that. They are sort of slowly crumbling. We'll see in the
yeah,
next couple of weeks. But from what I've seen so far, in the last few weeks, they seem to be crumbling. They need to change things around. And I think that will be very crucial in this particular game, because against Sporting away, it is not going to be an easy game. Sporting are going to really give them a run for their money, and they need to really show grit. It is not about only quality. The quality is on its own, but I think it is about mentality in this particular Champions League tie. If Arsenal don't show the mentality, I think they will struggle.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I think I take the point about what you're saying about when it comes to the back end, the running where we are curving to the back end of the season, and that is where my point actually comes in. So when it gets to that stage, you've shown your quality from the start of the season, where you are dismantling teams left, right, and center. But when it comes to the nitty gritty point, where there are tired legs, that is where you need that extra bit of quality, that just tiny little bit extra quality to overcome your opponent, because then that is where teams now know how you play. Teams are now better prepared when they face you. Again, you are a top team, you play multiple competitions. So the team you might be facing might be playing in, let's say, two competition. They might have maybe fresher legs. So that is when you need something extra to get on top of your opponent. And that is where my question mark comes in. But the game being a very difficult game wouldn't just be about Arsenal and their quality or whatnot. I think Sporting Lisbon is a side that have shown that, especially when they play at home, they've gone 16 competitive games at home with just one defeat so far this season. They are one of the top side when it comes to their home record. I think they have the most unbeaten record when it comes to their home record for a Portuguese side. And this is their first quarter-final clash in a European tie since 1983. So it's been a long time coming. So they wouldn't be coming and feeling as underdogs and trying to say that, oh, we are just here we are just happy to be here. They would want to cause an upset. And this is a particular stadium that they've already beaten Paris Saint-Germain 2-1 in the group phase. So they've shown they can do it against the big boys. And this is where exactly that they also did the comeback against Bordeaux Glimt after conceding 3-0 in Norway. They came back and thrashed them by 5. And from watching the game, I even thought they could have even ended the game scoring 6 or 7. Even in 90 minutes, not even they probably didn't need extra time if they were clinical. So Sporting Lisbon has that clinical edge to their game. So Arsenal will really need to be careful. They have sharp wingers, and if Arsenal take it lightly, they will punish them. Arsenal do not need to underrate this side, but um, it's still very difficult to go against Arsenal. Very, very difficult. But at home, I think Sporting will get something out of the game. I'm probably looking at a draw, because I think the record that Sporting has at home against the momentum that Arsenal has coming into the game with losing back-to-back games in the Carabao Cup final and then going out of the FA Cup. I'll probably go a double chance or a draw in that game for Sporting CP.
So, do you think getting a draw would be a good result for Arsenal going back to the Emirates? Do you think they will be able to really get a good result at the Emirates at all costs? Because it could be a very tricky result if you get a draw in this away game. What if Sporting comes to the Emirates? We've seen Arsenal lose games at the Emirates this season, important games against Manchester United and teams like that. So if they don't get a win, don't you
Yeah,
think it will be quite dangerous for Arsenal?
I think you would. And also because I think going into the game, Arsenal shouldn't go into the game trying not to lose the game and saying that they want to bring it back home. Like, say, if Liverpool are going to play Paris Saint Germain, I think our best bet would be to try and keep the tie alive and bring it back to Anfield. But Arsenal going to Sporting, they should be going and trying to win the game. They shouldn't go and try to keep the tie alive. I think that would be very dangerous. And that is one of the major criticism that Arteta has been faced with, with pulling the handbrake all the time. Arsenal should be going all out and trying to win the game, because it's very tricky when you get a draw coming back at home. The onus is on Arsenal to ultimately go on and win the game, and that could be costly for them when they play at home. Sporting could try and soak the pressure and try and hit them. I saw how Bayern Leverkusen were able to shut up shop against Arsenal in the first leg. I think Sporting Lisbon will learn a lot from that, and also Southampton has done it. Although you would say that Arsenal side wasn't really a full strength Arsenal side, but I think Arsenal shouldn't be going into the game trying to bring the game home. They should be going into the game trying to win the game and try and even win comfortably if they can.
Yeah. I think this Sporting team has also been some sort of a boogie side to this Arsenal team, because I think was it a 2021-22 season that they knocked Arsenal
Yeah,
out
the
of the
Europa League.
Europa League?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So they've been kind of a difficult side for Arsenal to beat. So Arsenal need to be very careful. This is not going to be an easy game. It is not. And if they do get knocked out by Sporting, I think it is going to have a dramatic effect on the Premier League. So
Yeah.
they really need to be careful here. So let's end the video here. We'll come back again with a preview for Liverpool, PSG, and also Atletico Madrid, Barcelona. So I will end here. Thank you all for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, also comment down below. Let's know your thoughts. See you very soon. Bye.
Right.